Hello, hello, hello. How are you guys doing this evening? Oh, in my attempt to try another place to vlog, it just gets darker and darker and darker. I probably should have left the ring light up. Let me see if I turn the light on. Turn the light up anymore. No, it's up as... Woo, mood lighting. Look at all the candles I have lit. It's very cozy in here tonight, isn't it, Boo Rat? Boo Radley has had kind of a tough day today. We actually got a vet appointment scheduled for tomorrow because when we woke up today, I had to go to the dentist this morning. He just was really slow this morning. He really wasn't wanting to get out of bed and go outside. He like went right outside and went potty, but he didn't want to like run around or anything. Did you, buddy? You want to come over here? Come over here with me, honey. He didn't really want to run around a whole lot. And then when I got home, he wanted to go right back into bed. And so we went back into bed, and he was like all over me. And I was kind of like picking him up to like get him situated. And you could tell he was like in a lot of pain. We're not really sure if it's like the colder weather on his arthritis. Or what. But then he takes two medicines in the morning. He takes an injection in his mouth, and then he takes a pill, which Alex hides in, I'm like watching you guys through the plant. And he takes a pill, which Alex hides in a treat, but he didn't want to eat any of the treats either this morning, so he didn't take his medicine. So then when we got up from going, we went back to bed, Boo and I did, from like, I was home by like 9:30. So we went back to bed from like 9:30 to 12:30. And when we got up, he went right down to his house and slept in his house. And I was filming videos and stuff. And then all of a sudden he came up here and he was just like walking around, and he like seemed like 100% better. Like now he seems like so much better. And I went in the kitchen because I had left the treats down with his medicine in there. And he had eaten his treats. So I'm thinking that maybe the medicine like helped him a little bit. Did the medicine help you, honey? See, he seems back to normal now. And so Alex was like, call and see if you can get a vet appointment, just because, you know, we want to like make sure that he's okay. So I called, and they only had 2 times tomorrow to get him in. And Alex has to work both of those times. So Melissa is going to take Boo Radley and I to the vet tomorrow. Aunt Melissa is going to take us. You excited to see Aunt Melissa tomorrow? He said, I don't want to go to the vet. So. And we're actually not seeing our vet. We're seeing another vet there, but I'm just glad to get him in. We just want to check him out and make sure that things are going okay. And I don't want to move this to show you. He's like laying on the ottoman like 2 feet in front of me. But we just want to make sure that everything's going okay, and to see if maybe it's just the colder weather that is making his like arthritis. I know it sounds stupid, but like, isn't that kind of a thing even with like humans, that like arthritis like flares up a little bit when it's like colder or the weather changes outside and stuff like that? I don't know, like with Tucker would act differently, like even if like within the spring, like when it was warmer, like if it got nicer one day, you know, he would and then like the next day it was a little bit colder, he would like act differently. So we just want to make sure that Mr. Boo Radley's okay. Yeah, we sure do. And he never ate his dinner from last night. And so he ate his dinner from last night today, didn't you? You finally ate your dinner. So I'm going to give you a little bit more dinner here in a little bit. He's just, in the last hour, I think, started feeling like back to himself. And I have been filming videos today. Last night, what did I do last night? Well, Alex went to dinner with Sarah, and then he brought me, I was watching Edward Scissorhands. I haven't watched that movie in forever. It's on Disney+. So I was like, I looked up Christmas movies, And Disney, Edward Scissorhands is considered a Disney movie. Is it? Or a Christmas movie? I don't consider Edward Scissorhands a Christmas movie, but whatever. I actually went to junior high with a girl that's in Edward Scissorhands. I didn't really realize until I was watching it last night, and I didn't realize, like, I mean, I did, I guess, in the past, but I didn't realize, like, what a big part of the movie she's in. Like, she's in a lot of scenes. She plays Winona Ryder's best friend in the movie. So, I watched that last night, and then Alex came home, and he brought me Thai sushi house. He brought me veggie spring rolls, and he brought me veggie fried rice with pineapple, no broccoli. It was delicious. And one of the things that I love that they put in there is, like, they put these, like, big tomatoes. I don't know why I love the tomatoes and the fried rice, but it's so good. And I have a bunch left over, so that's what I'm gonna have for dinner here in just a little bit. And I watched that, and Alex was packing. Oh, I ended up turning that off. Like, he sat down here with me and we talked for a little bit while I was eating. And then he went upstairs to start packing for his weekend in Miami, because he's like, I'm not going to have any other time to do this. And while he was packing, I turned it off. He was like, I thought you were watching your movie. And I was like, yeah, I just wanted to watch something different. So I watched Pyramid, an episode of Pyramid on Game Show Network. I love Game Show Network. I don't know what it is about it. It just makes me so happy. I need to start making a list. This is silly, but, like, of all the things that make me happy. Like, I was going to show you guys this. Well, first of all, these mugs make me so happy. This coffee, this is pumpkin pie coffee. Makes me so happy. But I got this spray. I bought it on Amazon Prime. So these candles, I have, like, one lit in the hallway from last year. It's called Perfect Christmas, I think. They didn't come out with that candle this year. But this candle is called Holiday. Or this spray. They have a candle, too, called Holiday. And it smells. I just sprayed the plant. Oh, it smells so good. I mean, it smells like Christmas. It's like cinnamon, and it smells delicious. Yeah. Do you smell that, booby? He said, I don't smell it. He looks like he could fall asleep. So I typically use that for, like, the bedroom, because I love the bedroom to smell like Christmas and stuff. So I lit some candles tonight. Oh, but anyway, I watched an episode of Jeopardy last night. And then, what was I gonna say? I watched an episode of Jeopardy, and then I went upstairs and I was talking to Alex while he was, like, packing, and I was like, I think I'm gonna lay down for a little bit. Even though I had my dentist appointment this morning, I was like, if I go to sleep and I, like, sleep over, because I set my alarm for, like, an hour. It was early at that point. I can't even remember how early it was, but it was like 8:30 or something. And I was like, and I was gonna sleep till like 9:30, and I was gonna get up and I was gonna watch. I really wanted to watch that movie, The Anonymous People. And so I was like, okay, if I get up and I oversleep. There was something else I wanted to watch last night too. Oh, The Surreal Life. Because I'm watching this. The Surreal Life is so good on VH1 this season. Well, it hasn't been out for several years, but it has Manny MUA on it, which is kind of like why I started watching it. But Dennis Rodman's on there. August Alsina, who's like a singer, that he had, like, allegedly had, like, an affair with, why can't I think of her name? Smith, Will Smith's wife. There's just a lot of really good people on there. Tamar Braxton is on there. Kim Coles is on there. Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle. It's really good. And, like, they all kind of, like, come together as, like, a house. I don't know. I enjoy it. So anyway, but I was like, I wanted to watch that, and I wanted to watch that movie, The Anonymous People, about addiction. And so, but I also knew that I needed to get a good night's sleep because my dental appointment was at 8 o'clock, and Alex was taking me, but he had an appointment at 7:30. That was like right across the street. And so he had to go to that. It was like just a really short appointment. So he had to go to that at 7:30, and then we were going to go across the street to the dental office, and then he was going to take me home. And so, because it was just like a check-in evaluation with my dentist today, they did the, oh shoot, what's it called? Oh no, I can't remember. Somebody that works in dentistry will know what I'm talking about. But it's where they do the numbers. It's where you have periodontal disease and they do the numbers and they go like 545, 345, all that kind of stuff. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? So my dentist is so nice, and I can't remember what that's called. It sounds like they're going to take like x-rays, but they don't do x-rays. It's like he just goes through and looks at all of your teeth and gums. Like he presses down. It's painful. It hurts when you have periodontal disease. And he told me, he said, okay, so he recommended that I have 2 scalings done, like scaling on the top, scaling on the bottom, which is like an hour and a half each. I have an appointment in January. He said we could wait till then. I still have to set up an appointment with the endodontist. And so he said, do the endodontist appointment for this one tooth that I have. And then he said, get the scaling done with his office, and then come back and have, what are you doing, huh? Short stuff? What are you doing? Are you having an adventure? Short stuff? And then I'm going to come back and see him again in about 6 weeks. And at that point, he wants to talk about possibly I might have to have some like, oh, I'm not excited about this, like gum surgery to repair some of like my lost gums. And then he also wants to talk to me about having my wisdom teeth taken out. I've never had my wisdom teeth taken out. Oh. But he said if we do all this kind of stuff and then I keep on coming in like every 3 months for the maintenance, he said everything will be fine. He was like, your teeth will be fine. And he said, I don't see any huge problems with it and stuff. I do not like going to the dentist. He's so nice. He and the guy that, like his assistant guy, was like so nice. And all the people that work in there, all the women that work in there are just really, I mean, it's just, they're so sweet. But yeah. And the woman that's going to do the scaling is the woman that did my cleaning, the last cleaning, the deep cleaning that I just had. She's really nice too. And so that's the next thing that I have to do. Go to the endodontist and then have the scaling. This coffee is really good. This pumpkin pie. I think I bought it on an advent calendar. Do you guys remember when I went to that place and it was like just a store up the street, and I like took a camera inside and I like did a Peter Does Stuff video filming it? Do you guys remember that from last year? And I bought like an advent calendar. It was like shaped like a tree, and it was like a different coffee every day. I think this is part of that coffee, and it was pumpkin pie. It's actually really good. And I have one left in my drawer that the mouse got in. Boo Radley, you need to do a better duty of getting those mice out of here, honey. Tanya's like, you need to set a trap. I was like, one of those humane traps. I like found this, my phone's over there, I would get it. I found this Instagram account. I don't know what it is. I've been posting these on my Instagram, so if you guys want to see it, go over to my Instagram. But I found this Instagram account, and it's like all Christmas pictures, but they're like cartoons. It's this guy that runs it. But I don't know why, like this is so, I just love this. But it's like, he finds these pictures. He doesn't do them. He finds them on other people's accounts. These pictures of, what do you call it? They're like mice and fox and squirrels that, like, people have drawn these pictures, like with colored pencils. And it's like they live, so it shows like the tree, right? And then it shows like underneath the tree, like this like bubble, which is like their house, like as if a mouse lived in a house underneath a tree, but with snow and stuff covering it up. And then they have like a little bed and a little table and a little Christmas tree. It's so cute. I love these pictures. Like, I'm obsessed with them. And would actually, like, if you got them and got them framed, like, they would be makes for such a cute kid's bedroom. But anyway, I've been posting this on my Instagram story. Speaking of, I don't know what made me just think of this, but Alex texted me today that his friend, who we went to her wedding this weekend, this is so funny. So we went to this girl's wedding this weekend, right? And that's a friend of Alex's. And somebody commented on the video, and they were like, if the girl whose wedding that you went to had a boho wedding dress on, I went to high school with her, which she totally did have a boho wedding dress on. It was a beautiful wedding dress. And so that was real funny. It just shows like the 6 degrees of separation, or how small the world is. And then she texted Alex today and she said, oh my God, the funniest thing happened. She was like, 2 people that I work with watch Peter's vlogs and said to me that he was talking about the wedding on his vlog. And this one girl was like sad that she missed me at the wedding because she was apparently at the wedding too, or something like that. Well, I'm sad I missed you too. I wish I would have gotten to see you. But isn't that so weird that I like go to a wedding like randomly? I mean, people all over the world watch my vlog, you know? Isn't that so strange that like, I do think like I have more people from Indiana watching my vlog than other states. I don't know why I think that, but I do. Because I get a lot of comments from people that, well, it was interesting. Somebody sent me some receipts, Whitney, sent me some receipts about Jaclyn Hill's products that they had purchased and their experience with that from her new Cozy brand. And I looked at like, they had their address and stuff, not their address, but like, you know, wherever they're from and their sign off on their email at the end. And it was in Indiana. And I thought, this is so weird that this person is in Indiana, like not close to me at all. But I thought like, that is so bizarre, right? So bizarre. What a small world it is that I go to this wedding and this girl whose wedding that I went to, that people that she works with, anyway, I thought that was so fun. So thank you for watching my vlog, and thank you for mentioning that to her. That really meant a lot to me. It is interesting to me, like every once in a while when somebody will say something to me, like my brother-in-law Fufu in San Diego, well, his family calls him Tato. Alex and Alex's friends call him Fufu, and everybody else that knows him calls him Juan Carlos or Juan. But like, when he was home visiting the last time, he told me, he was like, I know like 3 or 4 people that watch your channel on my vlog. And I was like, it's so weird, like, because it's not like my vlog is like, you know, it's not like I'm not like Jenna Marbles or something, you know, but it is cool to me that there are people like that all over that, you know, are like, oh, I know Peter and I watch his vlogs. I don't know, especially my vlog, it makes me happy on. Right, Booby? He's in a little circle right here. You miss your dad, don't you? Well, he'll be home in a little bit. Alex went to work, and then after work, he went over to his girlfriend's house from work, and they were gonna sit around and just talk and eat some food and whatever. And then he's coming home. Right, Booby? And then he's coming home. And we're just filming some videos and doing our stuff. Oh, so last night I went to bed. I watched an episode of Pyramid, and then I went upstairs, and I was probably in bed by like 8:30 or 9. I don't know what time it was. And where am I at on time? I can like not see in this camera. The lighting is so bad tonight, I know. But it's a different perspective you get over here. I thought I would try something different. Can you see the plant way over there? You guys can't see it through this plant, but I have like a little palm tree plant that's like not doing so well. So I told Alex, I said, I'm going to set my alarm, but if I like sleep through it or if I snooze it, because he wasn't going to bed till later, I said, just wake me up and I'll turn my alarm off, and I'll just, because I already set alarms for like 6:30 and 6:45, because we would leave here at 7:15. I said, I'll just sleep through it and I'll go to bed. for the night, and he was, which I should have probably just done anyway, and he was like, okay. And so I got up. I slept through my alarm, and he was like, babe, if you want to turn off your alarm. So I turned off my alarm, and I obviously kept the 6:30 and the 6:45 alarm. And then I woke up, and it was like 1:30 in the morning. And I was like, this is what happens. This is why I don't go to bed. Because I woke up, and I was like wide awake. Like, could not go back to sleep, right? And so I was like, ugh. So Boo Radley jumped down on the floor, and that meant he wanted to go out. So I took him out. It was bitter cold. It is so cold in Indiana right now, you guys. I mean, like, it is cold. Like, it is like upper 20s or like low 30s. I don't even think it's 30 degrees outside right now. And this morning there was all kinds of snow on the ground again. Not like 2 inches like the other day, but there was snow on the ground. I mean, it's pretty. It's really pretty. I'm just like not ready for it yet. Although my new UGG coat did ship. I got the email about that, so I'm excited about that. Oh, that's the other thing. Oh, that was what I did last night when I got up. So I took Boo Radley out. Didn't I, Booby? We went outside, yeah. And you ran all over the neighborhood. And then and then I took him back upstairs and I got him settled in bed with his dad. And then I came downstairs and, I hadn't posted my vlog. So whenever I posted my vlog last night was when I woke up. And so I like went in and I posted my vlog. Because see, what happens is like, okay, so when I get done with this vlog, I'll like render it. And then I'll start uploading it. Well, it takes me anywhere from an hour and a half to 3 hours to upload a vlog. It can take longer than that sometimes, depending on the slowness of YouTube. And so I just kind of have to wait. Well, usually that's when I lay down, is I try to lay down during that process so that when I get up, that my vlog is like ready to go, you know? And so I did that, and I thought I heard the garage door. I was like, is that the garage door? No. So, got that up, and then I was just like sitting there looking at the computer. Well, I had wanted to buy these gray felt Birkenstocks. Did I talk about this yesterday? Because I was looking on the computer. I think I did. So I was wanting to buy these gray felt Birkenstocks, and yet again, I wish I had my, my phone because I could show you. But anyway, it was like, they were like dark gray Birkenstocks, and they didn't have them. They were like sold out of like every size of these gray Birkenstocks. So I started looking online for them. But the thing is that like Birkenstock usually outsources this stuff. I don't know if you guys know what I mean by this, but like if you buy them through like another company, like they get them from Birkenstock. Does that make sense? And so if they're out of them at Birkenstock, they're out of them everywhere else. If that makes sense. But I did find them a couple places, but they were in the UK. And it was like the shipping date of getting them here. I was like, oh, this is a mess. Like, I don't know like when or if they'll get here. And so I was like, whatever. So I was like, they had 5 pairs left of the cream color ones. And I was like, you know, I might wear these because I love the brown leather ones, and I get so many compliments on them. If you guys have thought about wearing Birkenstock clogs, I would highly recommend a pair of them. They're so comfortable, and they hurt a little bit on the toes because your toes like have to like work them to like, if that makes sense, to like walk. But one pair is like that. The other pair that I have is not. And the suede ones are not uncomfortable at all. They're all comfortable, but I love the leather ones. And I've been wearing socks with mine. I've been wearing the Bomba socks, and so that helps. Like my toes never hurt with like the Bomba socks and stuff. So anyway, I actually wore Bomba socks this morning, but I wore this is so funny because our therapist just noticed these the other day. I have these clogs. They're called the Papilio clogs, and they have tassels on them. From, no, I'm wearing those stupid moccasins that I don't like. Trying to get my money's worth out of them. From Birkenstock. I probably bought those 20 years ago, you guys. Like legit 20 years ago. And they're still like in great condition. And in fact, I wore them to our therapy appointment on Monday, and our therapist was like, you guys are always so fashionable. And I'm like, fashionable? With these old things and my Bomba socks? What are you talking about? But anyway, he's so sweet. So I ordered those last night, those Birkenstock, what do you call it? The felt clogs, because I was like, you know what? The lighter color, because they're like a really, like, they're exactly like this color. They're like this off-white, like a cream color. Kind of like the sweatshirt, actually. And I was like, I can wear them in the summer that way too. Because they're not like, they're like a wool felt, but I don't think that you couldn't wear them in the summer or the spring, if that makes sense, especially with like socks. So I got those. Well, I was looking around on the Birkenstock site just for their shoes and stuff like that, of which I never buy like their shoes. And they had a pair of boots that looked like Red Wing, or like I have a pair of Red Wing boots that I got like on eBay or something like that like years ago. Like they're a pair of, I wanted a pair of used Red Wing boots because I wanted them to look like some mountaineer guy had been using them out in the wilderness, you know? And so I bought those like years ago, and I've like worn them one time maybe. And then I have a pair of, what are they called? Oh, I love these too, and I swear by them. They start with an F. What's the word I'm looking for? Fry boots. So I had a friend of mine that bought me a pair of Fry boots for a present, like a Christmas present, and they were really nice. They're like lace up. And Alex was like, do you care if I wear these? And they have like a big, not like a big heel, like a platform heel on them, but they have a heel that makes you feel taller on them. And Alex was like, can I wear these one night? And I was like, yeah, sure, babe. And he wore them. Well, Alex likes to think that he's like a size 10, which is what I am, but he's not. He's like 11 and a half. And he stretched the hell of these Fry boots out, right? And then he wore them like 3 days in a row. Well, these Fry boots are like really nice leather. When you stretch them out, they're not stretching back, and so they're too big for me now. Well, they were already a size too big for me. I think she got like 10 and a half or 11s, and then he stretched them out even more, and so like, or something like, I think they were like a 10 and a half, and he stretched them out even more, and so like now they don't fit me. And so, because sometimes I can wear a 10 and a half, but if I wear like a thick sock, but anyway, so I gave those boots to, I was like, you just take them because I can't wear them. They're not comfortable for me to wear anymore. And I bought myself a pair of these Fry boots like several years ago, like 6 or 7 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. And I don't know, 5. Do you hear that? I thought I heard something in here. Like 5 to 7 years ago, I bought these boots. And so anyway, I love those boots too. I saw these Birkenstock boots, and they look like a mix between the Red Wing boots and the Fry boots, and they're lace up, but they have like a Birkenstock sole on them, and I was like I love Birkenstocks. I think they're so comfortable. I think I own probably, I mean, no lie, I probably have 6 or 7 pairs of plastic sandals, and then on top of that, I probably have 5 to 7 pairs of regular Birkenstocks. Okay, I have camouflage, I have blue leather, I have brown leather, I have brown leather with a back, I have green suede. Is that 5? Oh, I have the faux fur ones that I bought last year, so that's 7 pairs. I have the brown clogs, and I have the clogs that have the Magritte painting on them. So that's 9 pairs of Birkenstocks, and I wear them like all the time. Well, the Magritte painting ones I don't wear, and the fur ones I don't wear, but I am gonna wear those fur ones this year because on the website, people are buying them like crazy. They love those, like, they're called Sherpa, I guess. So anyway, I'm gonna try to wear those this year, but I love Birkenstocks. I always have, ever since my senior year in high school, when I went to go visit my friend who lived in Mesa, Arizona, where Mel lives. He and I went to that College Avenue or College Boulevard, and I wanted a pair of Birkenstocks, and I bought a pair of Birkenstocks. Like, that was my green suede Birkenstocks that I bought, and I bought these like, what do you call them? These like cream socks with them, and I remember I wore them to this party that night. He was like this friend that I was like friends with for a little while, and like off and on, and then his family moved to Arizona, and I would go visit them. I visited him like twice, and like he was like real embarrassed of me that last time that I went to go out there, and his mom was like, I thought the camera stopped. Just felt it in my bones. I was like, it's gonna stop. Look at little Boo Radley. Hi, little Boo Radley. So, you guys don't ever get like a shot of what our house looks like from this angle. Because I'm just sitting in this chair front ways. But anyway, I mean, he's a nice guy, and he ended up being real successful and stuff like that. And, I haven't talked to him, and his dad died was probably the last time I talked to him, and that was when I was probably a year or two sober at the time. And that was the last time I talked to him. But, he was going to this party. It was like a graduation open house party, but like for kids, like not parents weren't going to it. It was like a graduation party or something like that. And, summer party around this pool. I feel like, weirdly enough, I've told this story on here before. It was kind of like, do you ever have those moments in your life that are like profoundly changing moments for you, but you don't really know it at the time, but you can kind of sense it, but you don't know why? This was one of those for me. So I can just remember going out there to visit him, and he had 2 younger brothers, and I would just like go in the pool and swim a lot, and just, you know, whatever, like they'd go through Whataburger and I'd get food, and that was it. And the last time that I was out there, which was this time, like it ended badly, and I ended up like calling my dad and being like, I want to fly home early. And my dad was like, that's fine. And like, it kind of ended like a little weird, and kind of like, I just was like uncomfortable being out there, and I just wanted to go home. And they like wouldn't even give me like a ride to it just was weird. They wouldn't give me a ride to the airport. I don't know why I'm being like protective of this, but like they wouldn't give me a ride to the airport. And I'm like 18 years old, just having graduated from high school. And so my dad like arranged the whole thing, and like arranged for like a cab to come get me. Cause I mean, this was before Ubers, and so, I mean, I didn't know what I was doing, right? So anyway, but at one point on this trip, he was going to this party, and his mom was like, why don't you take Peter with you so that Peter doesn't just like sit here tonight? And he didn't, you could tell he didn't want to. And, but he was like, oh, okay, whatever. So I, go to this party with him. Well, when we walked into this party, it was like this gorgeous house that was like, looked like it should have been in Indiana. And by that, I mean, it was like wood and brick siding, and then like thatch roof, huge yard with like pine trees in it. It didn't look like it belonged in Arizona. And apparently from these kids that I ended up meeting there that were like my age, it was called like an Indiana home. That's what they would call it, like an Indiana home. And I was like, yeah, this is kind of like what our houses like look like in Indiana. Like, this is so bizarre. But anyway, it was a gorgeous home. And so like there were like, you know, it was like kind of like a high school movie back in the day party. It was like there were a lot of kids like partying there, and there was like a huge pool out back that was gorgeous, and there were a lot of kids by the pool. And as soon as we got there, like my friend like bolted towards the pool and like left me alone. And I didn't know anybody. I mean, I'm in Arizona. I didn't know anybody at this party. And I have huge social anxiety, right? So, come here, honey. So I end up, there was like this room by the front door. I can't remember like how, like they said something to me. It was like these 3 guys. It was these 3 kids. It was like these two girls and this guy. She's a really tall girl. She was really, really nice. And then this girl whose house it was, her brother was the one having the party. They were like juniors gonna be seniors. And like, I had just graduated from high school. My friend had just graduated from high school. And so it was like her brother had just graduated from high school. So it was like a senior party, but like that had just graduated, if that makes sense. But anyway, so it was these 2 girls and this guy, and he was so cute. And I remember like, they asked me like who I was or something. I can't remember how I like got talking to them. they were playing some music. And so I went in there and I sat down. They were playing like the Smiths or something like The Cure. And so we started talking about music, and that was how we talked about. And they asked me about, I remember they asked me about my sandals, and I was like, oh, I just got them today. And they're like, oh, we love Birkenstocks. And I was so excited because I had these new green sandals. And I don't know why. It was like, but like literally like candles were lit. It was like very kind of like, I just had this kind of like really, and I could like instantly like crushed on this guy. And I can remember like, you know, it's like I was talking about earlier, like about, like he's out today. And I do know what happened to him, and really sweet, nice guy, because we kept in contact for a long time afterwards. But he had a difficult road, and that's not my, like I say, that like that's not my story, and I don't want anybody to guess who that is. That might be like, oh, I know who that is, and whatever, you know. Like people always like say in my videos, like, oh, I watched your video, and I know, you know, whatever. But like, I think he was, for me, weirdly enough, in a weird place at a weird time, the person that made my coming out the easiest. Because it was like, if at a different place and time we had met, I think like I could have fallen in love with him, and like he could have been my boyfriend, but like it didn't make sense. He lived in Arizona, I lived in Indiana, you know, like he wasn't out. I had, you know, I think I had just come out, maybe. I don't remember. But anyway, if I hadn't, I was getting ready to. It was either like right after I graduated from high school. I mean, I came out on my 18th birthday. So this trip was either that or it was after that, and I was already out. But anyway, I can just remember sitting on that floor like the whole night. My friend got like mad at me that I was like, I hung out with them the whole night. And I ended up hanging out with them the whole night and getting their numbers and stuff. And I can remember like calling and talking to them like the rest of the week. This one girl that was like tall, I remember her being kind of like really fun and goofy, and she reminded me of one of my friends here that I had. And I can remember, I don't know why I remember this, but I remember one day, like, she fell asleep by the side of the pool, and, like, one whole side of her was, like, burnt. It was, like, 110 out that day. It must have been, like, later in the summer. It must have been, like, August or something, or July. And so we laughed and talked, and I called and talked to this guy on the phone and crushed on him. And I remember for a long time afterwards, he and I would write each other letters, and we would ask each other, like, the strangest questions. And, because we didn't really know how to have those conversations or those relationships, you know? And then one day it just kind of stopped, the letters. I don't really remember how or why. I remember like he had a difficult time with the whole coming out thing with his family. And so he was like ready to go to college. I think when he went to college was kind of like when we started like stopping talking a little bit, because he like came out of his, you know, came into his own. And he messaged me like, this was funny, he messaged me like 5 or 10 years ago. I'd love to find him and talk to him again, you know, and be like he gave me so much hope, I think, at that time, that love could be possible for me, because it was something that I saw for other people that I couldn't realize for myself. You know, we didn't have the movies. I'm like looking at my bookshelf right now, and it's like, over on that bookshelf alone, there's like all of these books that are, you know, hope to a younger generation of, you know, coming out stories. Like, we didn't have that when I came out. We didn't have TV shows. We didn't have movies. We didn't have any of that, you know? Had I even had one of it, had I had Love Victor or Love Simon or, you know, Heartstopper, or if I had even just had one of those stories, like my story would have been so different, because I think I would have realized I I'm not so different, you know? But I came out in a world that wasn't accepting of gay people, that you didn't, like, I can remember going to bars and people saying, like, my husband and stuff like that, and it was almost kind of like a joke if somebody said that, because it wasn't their husband, you know? It was like this ha-ha kind of thing, you know? And they'd say, like, my husband or whatever, you know? And, like, have you seen my husband? He went to go get me a cocktail kind of thing. You know, it wasn't, like, real. And I didn't think it could be real. And I think that was hard for me, you know, and then to come out into a world of AIDS that was terrifying. And that if you were a gay, I think this is like one thing that you can't really explain to a younger generation that didn't live it. But when you come out into this, and I can't even imagine what it was like for a generation that was before me that was living in the AIDS crisis generation. I mean, I came on the tail end of it, right? But when you are part of that community that people directly relate with this disease, okay? And the disease is that if you do A, B, and C, then you will get this disease. Therefore, you deserve it, is what the mentality was by a lot of people. You know, by a lot of people out there. That was the mentality. And so there was a feeling of dirtiness that went along with any kind of lusting feelings or sensual feelings, which are a rite of passage for any young person, you know? And not to have to necessarily always feel dirty about wanting to kiss somebody or, you know, wanting to even, I mean, it doesn't even have to be super sexual. It can just be wanting to kiss somebody or have feelings towards them. And then to have this dirtiness associated with it, where, oh, you're this dirty, horrible, bad person if, you know, then if you feel that way, I don't know, it was a hard time. And I really think looking back, that's why, like, my, like, drinking was so huge. I really think, my drinking was a huge way for me to deal with so much of that, you know? Look at him leaning up against my leg. Is he not so sweet? Well, hi, Boo Radley. I mean, I think the other drugs, you know, were part of it as well, obviously. But I think the drinking really, I mean, I loved anything, but, like, I loved drinking the most. And it really just numbed me. And put me into a completely different state of mind where I didn't have to think about this stuff, you know? And I don't know. I was watching that Anonymous movie last night. I actually did a whole Peterisms video today talking a little bit about it. I didn't finish it yet. Oh, so I got up last night and couldn't go back to sleep, couldn't fall asleep. So I was like, well, I'll take Boo Radley out, get him back settled into bed. And then I came back downstairs and that's when I ordered the shoes online, the long story of the shoes. And I watched the latest episode of The Surreal Life, episode 4. And I actually was messaging Manny about it. I said, I really love The Surreal Life this season. It's so good. And he was like, 2 more episodes. He was like, have you caught up? And I was like, yeah, I just watched the 4th episode last night. And so anyway, I watched the 4th episode of The Surreal Life. The reason we even got talking about it to begin with was because I was like, why are you not pushing this more on social media? Like, he's not talking about it at all. And I said, like, it's a really good season. Like, you should be pushing this more and talking more about it to get people to watch it. And he's like, well, it's on VH1 and I know a lot of people don't have cable. And so when it's more accessible is when I'll talk more about it, which I get. But so anyway, then I rented The Anonymous People because I wanted to watch that movie. It's not what I thought it would be, honestly. I mean, there's a lot on there. I wouldn't say there are things that I disagree with. There are just things in there that are not necessarily my point of view of how I see things. But like, I'm really open to what they're talking about in the lesson. And the overall lesson that they're talking about in there is saving addicts and alcoholics at any expense, which I am all for 100%. No matter if you believe in a 12-step program or maintenance programs or, you know, Celebrate Recovery or the Straight program or whatever. Like, there's this one thing that he shows, and he shows like this tree. And the tree is like Alcoholics Anonymous. And then like he shows like this spout. It's like this one kid that narrates the whole thing. He's like 25 or 27 and he got sober at like 17. I would like to know what they define as long-term sobriety though, because they don't really ever say that. And like all these people that have long-term sobriety, some of them have like 40, 50 years. Some of them have 5, 6 years. It's interesting. This one part that they're doing like this training, there's like this offshoot. And so they show like AA and then they, like AA at the trunk of the tree. And then they show like all these different things that have come as a result of AA, like NA or like other 12-step programs. And then they show like Celebrate Recovery and the Straight program and maintenance programs and things like that. And while that's true, it's like historically, if you know about this, like there was a program before Alcoholics Anonymous called the Washingtonians, I think. And and there were other things that had kind of occurred before that, you know. But it's really interesting to watch this and to like know the history and to then also like hear some of the history about it. And like I said, it's not really just about it's really not about a 12-step program at all. It's really about this idea of anonymity and ridding ourselves of it. It was interesting because it's kind of like what I've always done on YouTube, is sharing my story and talking about like just planting the seed and sharing your story that people in recovery have. I mean, there's 25 million people in long-term recovery is what they said, that people are living, you know, amazing lives today as a result of recovery from addiction, and that people are recovered from addiction, you know. You know, if you do believe in a 12-step program, it promises getting recovered. This idea of recovering as a recovering alcoholic and addict, which is what I say, is a treatment idea. Like, I don't, like, this is where I don't fight with people over stuff, because it's like where people will say, well, are you recovered? Are you in recovery? Will you always be in recovery? I mean, it's semantics to me. You know, all I know is that I have done what I am told to do, and it has continued to work for me. When I didn't do what I was told to do, even sober, I was in one of the lowest places of my life when I was not going to meetings, and I wasn't working a program, and I wasn't in therapy, and I had no spiritual foundation, no connection to a higher power. That's in or out of a program. You know, I had no emotional sobriety, and I had no spiritual foundation, and I was lost. I was lost, you know. As a human being, I was lost, not just as an addict or an alcoholic, and I don't ever want to be there again. I was worse than using. And so I think it's important to share our stories of hope with people. And that's what I've always tried to do on YouTube, is share a positive story of hope. You know, it's like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and my friend said, you know, it's like, I think there's this misconception that when you get sober, like, it's all like good things happen. He was like, but bad stuff still happens in sobriety. And I said, yes, but this. I said, bad stuff happens in sobriety, or things, tragic, sad things happen in sobriety, but we have a design for living, and we have toolbox of tools that we can use from recovery that help us get through those things today. We have a support system of people that we can call. We have meetings that we can go to where we can talk to people. We have inventory and evaluation that we can do to sit there and talk about these things, and what's my part, and who can I make amends to, and how can I feel better about these things. We have ways to do this, and if it's an outside issue that it's not helped by a 12-step program, you go get help in therapy, or go to church and talk to your minister or your pastor about it. Not everything is solved by a 12-step program or sponsorships. I love when I get the comments from people that are kind of like, they want to put me in my place, and they'll be like, oh, Peter thinks that everything is solved by his sponsor. I've never in my life said that, nor do I believe that. Never have I ever believed that. I am a huge, 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 huge believer in getting outside help. And getting outside help means outside of a 12-step program. Sponsors are not marriage counselors. Sponsors are not counselors or therapists. Sponsors are there to work a 12-step program with you, period. End of story. Are there sponsors that have kind of delved into those areas? Yeah, and it can get dangerous at times. Do I think that there are sponsors out there that have helped people's marriages and helped people therapeutically? Absolutely, sure. But do I think there are sponsors that have become people's best friends and whatever? Yeah, I've witnessed it. I've witnessed it. Tanya's sponsor was her best friend ever, back in the day. And so I've witnessed that happening. It's not always the case. It's not typical. It's not what always happens. But I think that we have to start normalizing for people that I think there's such a stigma that it still exists. I think people don't understand this, right? It's like there are a lot of people out there that are getting arrested for DUIs and drug charges, and their families and friends all know that they're drug addicts and alcoholics. And so when they get sober, it's not so much like keeping it this hidden story, but there are still a lot of people out there, right, that are school teachers, that are going home at night, that are drinking a lot, right? Like, that was my mom's story, that, she would go home at night, from whatever job she was working, whether it was, a school teaching or whether it was retail, and she would drink a lot, and then go to bed and get up and start the whole day over and do that. So to then get sober in that same environment and to tell people I'm sober, there's a stigma that goes along with that, where people think, oh, well, you were an attorney drinking every night, you were a teacher, a doctor, you were a host at Walmart, whatever you were, right? You were a deacon at a church, you were a minister. All of these things. That's why there are specific groups for doctors, specific groups for lawyers and things like that. There's specific treatment programs that you can go to for doctors and lawyers and whatever, right? Because there's a stigma that goes along with that. So do I necessarily think that a doctor is going to come out and tell his story and say, well, I got sober and, whatever? No, because people are going to be like, oh my God, this is a scary idea. Do I think that an attorney or a teacher is going to tell their story always? No, because people are still going to think back to, well, that means that you were drinking when, right? But imagine if this 25 million people, and this is what the movie was saying, if we could tap into that resource of 25 million people in long-term recovery and share with people their stories of how they're living amazing lives today, then, it was really interesting to me when I was trying to say this in my Peterisms video, and I don't think I ever got to it, but, it was interesting because this guy at one point does this comparison between, the recovering community trying to help people stay alive and the gay community with HIV and AIDS, in the 80s, right? And he was talking about that it was all of these people coming out and saying in the gay community that with the ACT UP group and things like that, silence equals death. And so they were sharing their stories and they were talking and they were shouting it from marching and things like that, right? And they weren't silent about it. But it also, nobody was arguing over what was the best tactic, right? no matter if you were like marching in the streets or if you were doing this or if you, I mean, people were coming together and they were unifying like over this one cause. I do think like sometimes we want to argue over, well, what works for somebody and what doesn't work for somebody, you know? I mean, I'm in, like in the long run, I'm in it just to keep somebody alive is how I feel about it. Do I have very specific feelings about why a 12-step program works for me and why I hope that other people would want it as well? Absolutely. Sure, it's personal for me. It's been personal for me. I've been in it for a long time. But do I really care if somebody goes through a 12-step program if they are able to stay alive some way else? Absolutely not. I just want somebody to stay alive, you know, and I think that has to be our attitude. And this movie was interesting to me because it was talking about like an organization that they started called something like the Faces of Recovery or something like that. It was basically people from all different kinds of ideologies of recovery just telling their stories of being a person in long-term recovery. And they didn't even identify themselves as addicts and alcoholics. They identified themselves as people in long-term recovery, which I think is interesting. It's like it makes it more positive instead of having this. I think to this day, sometimes, you know, when people hear like, oh, I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic, they hear it like in a negative tone when there's really nothing negative about it. But I think sometimes people put a negative spin to that, you know. And it was also interesting because they were talking about like in today's time, which was like 2012 when this movie came out or something like that, that really there's nobody that hasn't been affected in some way by a person's addiction. That it was like 80% of all Americans have a family or a friend that is an addict or an alcoholic. And that has to be, like, it has to be that high at this point. You know, like, I can't even tell you the amount of comments, emails, direct messages I get from people. Like, I know, talking about this today, I will get 5 emails from people, 5 DMs that say, thank you so much for sharing this. I started treatment because of this, or I, you know, not because of this, but I started treatment. You know, my brother did this, my sister did this, my spouse did this, you know, or, you know, my best friend has 30 days. How can I help them? What's the easiest, best way? And all this kind of stuff. I'm just one person telling my story and just even getting in a video and sharing that I'm sober today and I have a husband and a dog and a house and a job that I love, you know, and I have friends in my life that make me feel pretty happy, and I love going to the grocery store and lighting candles, and I have a cozy life. I mean, just to say that as a result of being a person in recovery today, that those are things I never thought that I would have, peace of mind being most of all, you know, like, and then to receive that amount of comments, messages, and emails from people. Imagine if that 25 million people were doing it. And that's really the message of this movie, which I really, really like, you know. It's about people realizing that you don't have to live in shame anymore. It's about people realizing that I don't know why I keep on going back to this. There was this comment that I got on my Purisms video, and it was from a woman, and she said something like, I've been drinking a lot more lately or something like that, and I really think that like my drinking's increasing, but like I haven't really suffered in any of these big deal things yet, like, but I don't know when it's time to like stop. Like, should I be going to a meeting? I can't remember how she said it. I didn't respond to it, but this woman responded back to her and said, and I really loved the response, and I hope that it inspired some hope in this person, even though it was very direct. She said, why would you wait to lose everything before you answer that question for yourself, basically? Like, why would you wait to lose everything in your life at the expense of alcohol? You know, that's the difference between my mom and I. I don't feel like I would say the last 2 years, I wouldn't say that I had a choice. I just was so drunk all the time and so messed up that it just really, I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't think about really getting clean and sober. I didn't really think about, I didn't really think about choices that I had, or that I even had a choice. It didn't really feel to me like a realistic choice to get sober. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but it didn't feel like, I don't remember having a lot of conversations with people where people were like, do you want to go to treatment? And I was like, yes or no. Like, that never occurred, that conversation. I can remember avoiding those conversations. I can remember my dad and my stepmom being like on me about stuff and me avoiding those conversations and just leaving when they happened. I can remember friends of mine being worried about me and saying, we're really worried. There's nothing you need to worry about. Whatever. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow night. And I would just walk out the door. I can remember that. I don't remember feeling like that was an option. And had it, the camera stopped. It's like an old school vlog tonight. It's over an hour already. And had it been an option that somebody offered me, had somebody said, you know, do you want to go to treatment? My answer would have been a resounding no. I did not go in willingly. I didn't want to stay sober. That wasn't part of the plan. I had no desire to do that. So it wasn't like that. You know, with my mom, it was different. My mom had driven around a lot of churches trying to go in to meetings and never feeling comfortable to do that. She'd actually gone to Al-Anon and felt like that she was in the program, so to speak, because she'd gone to Al-Anon basically because of me and heard people talking about her, and I mean, not her directly, but you know, and so she was sitting there and she's like, okay, I'm in the wrong meeting kind of thing. The reason my mom got sober was my uncle had his first heart attack and open heart surgery that June, or that May. My cousin got married in the middle of June, and he had like quadruple heart surgery, or open heart surgery, and all the quadruple heart, I don't know, anyway, it was bad. And my mom was like, I think it was in her face so much like, you could die tomorrow. And is this how you want to continue to live your life? Like going to a job that you cannot stand and coming home every single night and drinking a 6-pack of beer and 2 martinis for 2 and going to sleep or passing out and doing the whole thing all over again tomorrow. Like, is that how you want to live your life? You know, and feeling bloated, being sad all the time, not really feeling like you have any friends or support network around you. Is this what you want? And she realized whether she lived 10 more days or 10 more years, she wanted the quality of her life to improve. Like, that never went through my head until at least 6 months sober. Like, honest to God. I just was putting the pieces together. I mean, so you don't have to wait until it gets so bad, you know? The doctors that I worked with when I worked in treatment were a husband and wife team, and they don't drink. And I remember asking her, because I worked with the wife exclusively for a long time, and I remember asking her, she's such a neat lady, and they were just a neat couple, period. But I remember asking her, like, why did you guys stop drinking? Because they're not alcoholics. And she said, we would come home from work at night and we would have like a glass of wine with dinner and whatever. And she said, one day this was like early on, like in their like 30, 40, 50 years, 40 years ago. She said, one night we were just like, what are we doing? Like, we don't need the wine, like, look at what we do for a living. And they just stopped. And that was the last time that they ever drank. And, it's like, I'm not somebody that passes judgment on drinking. Obviously, I'm married to somebody that drinks. But, like, if you don't need it, why are you? I mean, I know a lot of people that drink wine, like, on, like, a regular basis, or, like, drink on a regular basis, or, have a 6-pack of beer or whatever. And maybe they're not alcoholics, but it's just, they lean on that, and maybe they're not happy. I don't know. Maybe you're not happy and you're doing that. You don't have to continue to do it, Maybe take 30 days off and don't do it. Doesn't mean you need a 12-step program, You know, if you're drinking a lot more than that, I would say you need medical help because it can be dangerous to detox yourself. But if you're just drinking a beer or two a night or a glass of wine a night and it doesn't really do anything for you and you don't really enjoy it, why are you doing it? You know, that would be my question. You don't have to do it. I don't know. And I think like that was what it was for my mom. And I'm glad that that's what it was like for my mom. You know, my mom worked one of the hardest 12-step programs I've ever seen. You know, she was the real deal about this. She was real serious about it, you know, and could quote stuff left and right and was what we call the big book thumper. And I'm proud of her for that, you know. And she became a different person. She became a changed person as a result of her recovery. And we got a new relationship. But it wasn't because anybody forced her into treatment or because she lost everything in her life. It was because she wanted the condition of her life to change. We don't have to lose everything for us to want something different, you know? And that can be our marriage, you know? One of the things that I love about, like, especially with us, like, you know, going back to marriage counseling and stuff like that this time is that, like, the last time it was bad. This time it's not, you know? And so it's like, we just want our marriage to improve more and more and more and more and more. And Alex even said something to me the other day. He said, one of the things that I love about marriage counseling is it just makes us both the best versions of ourselves for each other. And I think that's it, right? Like, that's it with being sober. That's it with recovery. That's it with like working out, which, listen, I know, throw this up in my face, but like working out and eating healthy, it's like, you know, or like going to marriage counseling or going to counseling in general, or, you know, doing whatever, or being passionate about something. It's like all of these things make us want to be our best versions of ourselves. And when we're our best versions of ourselves and we're enjoying the world so much more, aren't we? Aren't we, Boo Radley? Come here. You want to say hi to everybody? Or no? You say, no, I don't want to say hi to everybody today. Are you your best version of yourself? He said, today I'm feeling kind of old, I think. I don't know. Maybe that's a question I need to be talking to my therapist about. What things do I need to do to be my new best version of myself? Speaking of which, it's Thursday, and I haven't heard from my neurologist about my CAT scan. So fingers crossed that means that my CAT scan results are good. Because usually when I don't hear from him after my CAT scan, that means that the results are good. So usually when I hear from him right away, his little head so cute. Look at his little head. He's so sweet. Usually when I hear from him right away, he's like, okay, I want you guys to come in here. Then I get worried, but I haven't heard from him. Did you hear from him? Huh? Where's your dad? Where's your daddy? Oh, he thinks that means he's coming home. All right, I'm gonna get off here now. So, yeah, and this was fun tonight. Let me know if you liked this different sitting place. I'm gonna probably try to sit over there on the couch at one point, like on the edge of the couch. What are you doing, boobs? You getting your place to sit? I'm probably going to sit on the couch. I'll probably sit back at the desk somewhere. When it's a little bit warmer, I'll sit outside. It is so cold tonight, you guys. But anyway, so here, let me get a thumbnail picture with him in the background. Anyway, let me know. Let me know what. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. And yeah, thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I know Diane's going to say, inside with the candles lit in the chair, so comfy, cozy vlog. Diane's so cute how she always like talks about whatever the vlog setting is. Anyway, thank you for hanging out with me. This was really fun tonight. It was actually really nice doing it in a different place. And it's really like, this chair is really comfortable, just kind of lean in and talk. So anyway, I hope that you are he's going to town over there. I hope that you guys are having a magically, what is it? You want to say goodbye to everybody? I hope that you guys are having a magically amazing Thursday evening. And if nobody else has told you this today, I love you. And let's see what else. Yeah, remember these 3 very important things. Remember them, boo? 1, you can start your day over whenever you want. 2, practice random acts of kindness, but shh, don't tell anyone. And 3, most importantly, make sure that you reach out to somebody and let them know how much they mean to you. Put a smile on their face. You don't know, you might be cheering somebody up that really needs it. You know, it might be changing their day for the better, and really helping them out. So anyway, and also be kinder to one another, love one another a little bit more, and be kinder and love yourself a little bit more, and be kinder and love yourself a little bit more. And I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye. Love ya.